basic structure of a protein. Proteins are fundamental components of all living cells and include many substances such as enzymes, hormones and antibodies that are necessary for the proper functioning of an organism. They are essential in the diet of animals for the growth and repair of tissue and can be obtained from foods such as meat, fish, eggs, milk and legumes. Proteins are by far the most structurally complex and functionally sophisticated molecules known. This is perhaps not surprising once one realizes that the structure and chemistry of each protein has been developed and fine-tuned over billions of years of evolutionary history. The location of each amino acid in the long string of amino acids that form a protein determines its three-dimensional shape. Amino acids. Amino acids contain an amino group, a carboxyl group, a carbon and a unique R group. There are 20 types of amino acids in proteins, each with different chemical properties. A protein molecule is made from a long chain of these amino acids, each linked to its neighbor through a covalent peptide bond. Proteins are therefore also known as polypeptides. Each type of protein has a unique sequence of amino acids, exactly the same from one molecule to the next. Many thousands of different proteins are known, each with its own particular amino acid sequence. Example, myosin amino acid sequence. The 20 amino acids are as follows: alanine, arginine, asparagine, aspartic acid, cysteine, glutamine, glutamic acid, glycine, histidine, isoleucine, leucine, lysine, methionine, phenylalanine, proline, serine, threonine, tryptophan, tyrosine, valine. Peptide bonds join amino acids. It is a condensation reaction, meaning that H2O is released when the bond is formed. Two amino acids form dipeptide. Polypeptides are formed from more than two amino acids bonded together. Functions of proteins. Proteins are very important molecules in our cells. They are involved in virtually all cell functions. Each protein within the body has a specific function. Some proteins are involved in structural support, while others are involved in bodily movement or in defense against germs. Below is a list of several types of proteins and their functions. Antibodies. These are specialized proteins involved in defending the body from antigens which are foreign invaders. They can travel through the bloodstream and are utilized by the immune system to identify and defend against bacteria, virus and other foreign intruders. One way antibodies counteract antigen is by immobilizing them so that they can be destroyed by WBC, that is white blood cells. Contractile proteins. These are responsible for movement. Examples include actin and myosin. These proteins are involved in muscle contraction and movement. Enzymes. These are proteins that facilitate biochemical reactions. They are often referred to as catalysts because they speed up chemical reactions. Examples include the enzymes lactase and pepsin. Lactase breaks down the sugar lactose, which is found in milk. Pepsin is digestive enzyme that works in the stomach to break down proteins in food. Hormonal proteins are messenger proteins which help to coordinate certain bodily activities. Example include insulin, oxytocin and somatotropin. Insulin regulates glucose metabolism by controlling the blood sugar concentration. Oxytocin stimulates contraction in females during childbirth. Somatotropin is a growth hormone that stimulates protein production in muscle cells. Structural proteins are fibrous and stringy and provide support. Examples include keratin, collagen and elastin. Keratins strengthen protective covering such as hair, quills, feathers, horn and beaks. Collagen and elastin provide support for connective tissues such as tendons and ligaments. Storage proteins store amino acids. Examples include ovalbumin and casein. Ovalbumin is found in egg whites and casein is a milk-based protein. Transport proteins are carrier proteins which move molecules from one place to another around the body. Examples include hemoglobin and cytochromes. Hemoglobin transport oxygen through the blood. Cytochromes operate in the electron transport chain as electron carrier proteins. History of protein discovery. Proteins were recognized as a distinct class of biological molecules in the 18th century by Antoine Fourcroy and others, distinguished by the molecule's ability to coagulate or flocculate under treatments with heat or acid. Noted examples at the time included albumin from egg whites, blood serum albumin, fibrin and wheat gluten. Proteins were first described by the Dutch chemist Gerardus Johannes Mulder and named by the Swedish chemist Johannes Jacob Berzelius in 1838. Mulder carried out elemental analysis of common proteins and found that nearly all proteins had the same empirical formula, that is C400, H620, N100, O120, P1, S1. He came to the erroneous conclusion that they might be composed of a single type of very large molecule. The term protein to describe these molecules was proposed by Mulder's associate Berzelius. Protein is derived from the Greek word proteos, meaning primary, in the lead or standing in front. Mulder went on to identify the products of protein degradation such as the amino acid leucine, for which he found a nearly correct molecular weight of 131 Dalton. The first protein to be sequenced was insulin by Frederick Sanger in 1949. Sanger correctly determined the amino acid sequence of insulin and thus conclusively demonstrating that proteins consisted of linear polymers of amino acids rather than branched chain colloids or cyclones. He won the Nobel Prize for this achievement in 1958. The first protein structures to be solved were hemoglobin and myoglobin by Max Perutz and Sir John Cordery Kendrew respectively in 1958. The first atomic resolution structures of proteins were solved by X-ray diffraction analysis in 1960. Perutz and Kendrew shared the 1962 Nobel Prize in Chemistry for these discoveries and by NMR in the 1980s. As of 2009, the Protein Data Bank has over 55,000 atomic resolution structures of proteins. In more recent times, cryo-electron microscopy of large macromolecular assemblies and computational protein structure prediction of small protein domains are two methods approaching atomic resolution. Basic structure of a protein. A covalent bond forms when the carbon atom from carboxyl group of one amino acid share electron with the nitrogen atom from amino group of a second amino acid. As indicated, a molecule of water is lost in this condensation reaction. The repeating sequence of atoms along the core of polypeptide chain is referred to as the polypeptide backbone. Attached to this repetitive chain are those portions of the amino acids that are not involved in making a peptide bond and which give each amino acid its unique property, the 20 different amino acid side chain. Some of these side chains are nonpolar and hydrophobic, means water fearing. Others are negatively or positively charged. Some are reactive and so on. The structural components of a protein. A protein consists of a polypeptide backbone with attached side chains. Each type of protein differs in its sequence and number of amino acids. Therefore, it is the sequence of the chemically different side chains. Atoms behave almost as if they were hard spheres with a definite radius, their van der Waals radius. The requirement that no two atoms overlap limit greatly the possible bond angles in a polypeptide chain. Each amino acid contributes 3 bonds to the backbone of the chain. The peptide bond is planar and does not permit rotations. The folding of protein chain is, however, further constrained by many different sets of weak non-covalent bonds that form between one part of the chain and another. These involve atoms in the polypeptide backbone as well as atoms in the amino acid side chains. The weak bonds are of 3 types: hydrogen, ionic and van der Waals attractions. Individual non-covalent bonds are 30 to 300 times weaker than the typical covalent bonds that create biological molecules. But many weak bonds can act in parallel to hold 2 regions of polypeptide chain tightly together. The stability of each folded shape is therefore determined by the combined strength of large number of such non-covalent bonds. 3 types of non-covalent bonds that help proteins fold. Although a single one of these bonds is quite weak, many of them often form together to create a strong bonding arrangement. A fourth weak force also has a central role in determining the shape of a protein. Hydrophobic molecules, including the non-polar side chain of particular amino acid, tend to be forced to gather in aqueous environment in order to minimize their disruptive effect on the hydrogen bonded network of water. Therefore, an important factor governing the folding of any protein is the distribution of its polar and non-polar amino acids. The non-polar hydrophobic side chain in a protein belonging to such amino acids as phenylalanine, leucine, valine and tryptophan tend to cluster in the interior of the molecule, just as hydrophobic oil droplets coalesce in water to form one large droplet. This enables them to avoid contact with the water that surround them inside a cell. In contrast, polar side chains such as those belonging to arginine, glutamine and histidine tend to arrange themselves near the outside of the molecule, where they can form hydrogen bonds with water and with other polar molecules. When polar amino acids are buried within the protein, they are usually hydrogen bonded to other polar amino acids or to the polypeptide backbone. The polar amino acid side chain tend to gather on the outside of the protein where they can interact with water. The non-polar amino acid side chains are buried on the inside to form a tightly packed hydrophobic core of atoms that are hidden from water. In this schematic drawing, the protein contains only about 30 amino acids. Levels of protein structure. We will start with primary structure. The primary structure of protein is its unique sequence of amino acids. Lysozyme, an enzyme that attacks bacteria, consists of a polypeptide chain of 129 amino acids. The precise primary structure of a protein is determined by inherited genetic information. Even a slight change in primary structure can affect a protein's conformation and ability to function. In individuals with sickle cell disease, abnormal hemoglobins, oxygen-carrying proteins develop because of a single amino acid substitution. These abnormal hemoglobins crystallize, deforming the RBCs and leading to clogs in tiny blood vessels. Second is secondary structure. The secondary structure of a protein results from hydrogen bonds at regular intervals along the polypeptide backbone. Typical shapes that develop from secondary structure are coils, which are alpha helix, or folds, which are beta pleated sheets. The structural properties of silk are due to beta pleated sheets. The presence of so many hydrogen bonds makes each silk fiber stronger than steel. Protein secondary structures made up of alpha helices and beta sheets. Secondary structures, as the name suggests, constitute the second level of protein structure, the first being the sequence, which is sometimes called the primary structure. Here, I will focus on the general aspects which are important to keep in mind. For example, when analyzing a sequence alignment, when making a homology model and analyzing model quality, when planning some mutations in a protein, or when analyzing protein ligand interactions. A ligand could be any molecule which bind to a protein with some affinity, a substrate, an inhibitor, another protein molecule, a DNA or RNA segment, etc. The most common type of secondary structure in proteins is the alpha helix. Linus Pauling was the first to predict the existence of alpha helices, which was confirmed with the determination of the first three-dimensional structure of a protein, myoglobin, by Max Perutz and John Kendrew. Third is tertiary structure. Tertiary structure is determined by a variety of interactions among R groups and between R groups and the polypeptide backbone. These interactions include hydrogen bonds among polar and charged areas, ionic bonds between charged R groups, and hydrophobic interactions and van der Waals interactions among hydrophobic R groups. While these three interactions are relatively weak, disulfide bridges, strong covalent bonds that form between sulfhydryl groups, that is SH, of cysteine monomers, stabilize the structure. Fourth is quaternary structure. Quaternary structures results from the aggregation of two or more polypeptide subunits. Collagen is a fibrous protein of three polypeptides that are supercoiled like a rope. This provides the structural strength for their role in connective tissues. Hemoglobin is a globular protein with two copies of two kinds of polypeptides. There are two major classes of proteins. First is fibrous proteins. Fibrous proteins are elongated molecules in which the secondary structure form the dominant structure. Fibrous proteins are insoluble and play a structural or supportive role in the body and are also involved in the movement, as in muscle and ciliary proteins. One feature of fibrous tissues is that they often have regular repeating structures. Keratin, for example, which is found in hair, horns, wool, nails and feathers, is a helix of helices. Two pairs of alpha helices wound around one another and has a 7 amino acid repeating structure. Silk is a fibrous protein that is composed only of beta sheets. It too has a repeating pattern. Layers of glycine alternate with layer of alanine and serine in the beta sheets. Collagen, which is shown below, is the major protein component of connective tissue. In collagen, every third amino acid is glycine and many of the others are proline. Second is globular proteins. Spheroproteins are also known as globular proteins and are of the two main protein classes, comprising globe-like protein that are more or less soluble in aqueous solutions where they form colloidal solutions. This spherical structure is induced by the protein's tertiary structure. The molecules polar hydrophobic amino acids are bounded towards the molecule's interior, whereas polar hydrophilic amino acids are bound outwards, allowing dipole-dipole interactions with the solvent, which explains the molecule's solubility. Globular proteins is only marginally stable because the free energy released when the protein folded into its native conformation is relatively small. It results in a decrease in randomness, although non-covalent interactions such as hydrophobic interactions stabilizes the structure. Now we will see protein denaturation. When a solution of a protein is boiled, the protein frequently becomes insoluble. That is, it is denatured and remain insoluble even when the solution is cooled. The denaturation of proteins of egg white by heat, as when boiling an egg, is an example of irreversible denaturation. The denatured protein has the same primary structure as the original or native protein. The weak forces between charged groups and the weaker forces of mutual attraction of non-polar groups are disrupted at elevated temperatures. However, as a result, the tertiary structure of the protein is lost. Denaturation can be brought about in various ways. Proteins are denatured by treatment with alkali or acid, oxidizing or reducing agent, and certain organic solvents. Interesting among denaturing agents are those that affect the secondary and tertiary structure without affecting the primary structure. The agents most frequently used for this purpose are urea and guanidinium chloride. These molecules, because of their high affinity for peptide bonds, break the hydrogen bonds and the salt bridges between positive and negative side chains, thereby abolishing the tertiary structure of the peptide chain. When denaturing agents are removed from a protein solution, native protein reforms in many cases. Denaturation can also be accomplished by reduction of disulfide bonds of cysteine, that is, conversion of disulfide bond to two self-hydryl groups. This of course results in the formation of two cysteines. Reoxidation of cysteines by exposure to air sometimes regenerate the native protein. In other cases, however, the wrong cysteines become bound to each other, resulting in a different protein. Finally, denaturation can also be accomplished by exposing proteins to organic solvents such as ethanol or acetone. It is believed that the organic solvents interfere with the mutual attraction of non-polar groups. Now we will see protein renaturation. In a renatured protein, the primary structure of biopolymer remains the same, but the protein which had been denatured with the help of such agents as cheotropic agents, detergents, heat or reagents gets restored back to its former native structure and is able to function as effectively as before, because a renatured protein merely undergoes the process of reversal of denatured protein. In fact, a renatured protein is able to carry out its function better, faster and more efficiently, because it is able to pinpoint the level of biological activity that it was going through prior to the process of denaturation. So now we will conclude that proteins are the molecules with large molecular weight and are the most structurally complex and functionally sophisticated biomolecules known so far. Proteins possess amino acids as their basic units and they are of 20 types. Depending on their structure and function, they are classified.